You may believe you are an intelligent person and you know very well what you think about. However, not all your thoughts belong to your conscience. You have inherited a huge wild conscience that occupies the biggest part of your brain and psyche. I named it anti-conscience because it tries to destroy your conscience and control your behavior. Your conscience can escape the logical traps of your absurd and evil anti-conscience if you will follow the unconscious guidance in your dreams. The anti-conscience is very dangerous because it is violent, immoral, and cruel. It uses everything it can to mislead your human conscience with its absurd thoughts. Since it is a huge conscience that works in parallel with your human conscience, the anti-conscience can read your thoughts and invade your human conscience, suggesting absurd solutions for your problems. These absurd solutions seem to be smart ideas because they are camouflaged under numerous logical traps. Their absurdity is not visible from the beginning. You cannot understand that these thoughts invaded your conscience, and they don't belong to the conscious field. You believe they are your own ideas. You are the human being existent into the human part of your conscience. However, your wild conscience is Satan itself. You ignore the existence of your satanic anti-conscience, while your wild conscience reads your thoughts and interferes in your thoughts, trying to make you believe in illusions. Your anti-conscience is always trying to imprison your conscience into the labyrinth of craziness, so that it may control your behavior instead of being tamed by your human conscience. Your conscience comes from your anti-conscience, but it was transformed by God into human content because God helped the demon you come from develop one psychological function according to human characteristics, from the 4 psychological functions you have at your disposal: thoughts, feelings, sensations, and intuition. God also helped the demon half develop a second psychological function, but he couldn't do more because a conscience must be developed by its own will. Otherwise, it will be a robot, and not a live conscience. God separated you, the human conscience he created, from the absurd and evil conscience of the demon you came from, and you became a human being. You stopped being only a demon. However, the biggest part of yourself still is a demon and works in parallel with your human personality. The unconscious mind that produces your dreams is God's mind. You have the privilege to be guided by God in your own dreams, but you must learn the real meaning of the dream language if you want to understand God's words. Carl Jung is the only person in the world who managed to discover the real meaning of the symbolic dream language, as I managed to prove to the world thanks to my research and discoveries, which were based on Jung's method of dream interpretation. Today you can learn a lot more because I continued his research, discovering the entire truth about the functioning of the human brain and psyche. God works like a psychotherapist because we are absurd from birth, since we have inherited a wild conscience, which is idiotic and self-destructive. You can learn the dream language yourself now that I clarified the obscure points in Carl Jung's work, and dream translation became a simple matter. You only have to learn the meaning of the most important dream symbols and follow the dream logic. If you have no time or disposition for studies, I can translate your dreams for you and provide you with psychotherapy. The online treatment through dream translation is the safest treatment you could ever have because your doctor is the divine unconscious mind that produces your dreams. I'm only a dream translator and a doctor helper. The real knowledge comes from God, the dream producer. You will understand how your anti-conscience is managing to mislead your conscience and how to avoid falling into its logical traps. This is a process that depends on your personal participation. You have to translate the meaning of your own dreams into practice to understand how it works. I give you many lessons about the meaning of dreams and about your mental health, but your own evolutionary process is personal. The road you must follow is totally different from the road that someone else must follow. You pass through similar points, but everyone must individually pass through psychotherapy by following the unconscious guidance. Dream therapy is like physiotherapy. You have to make many exercises in order to develop your human conscience and become more intelligent. Your human conscience becomes more powerful as you learn how to avoid your anti-conscience's traps. The brain power that your anti-conscience is using against your conscience is transferred to your human conscience when you understand your anti-conscience's logical traps, and you learn how to avoid these traps thanks to the unconscious guidance. When you acquire consciousness of your mistakes and psychological problems, they stop being in the darkness of ignorance and they start belonging to the light of consciousness. Thus, the brain power that your anti-conscience was using against you goes to your human conscience and becomes an advantage for you, the human being. Your human conscience becomes more intelligent and sensitive when you are able to understand your mistakes and correct your attitude. In other words, you eliminate the satanic characteristics of your psychological functions, transforming them into human characteristics. You help God transform your satanic anti-conscience into human content. This is how you acquire total consciousness, and you are able to use your tremendous brain power on your behalf. Even though in the beginning you dislike discovering that you are an evil underdeveloped primate and you have to do many things to change your behavior and stop making mistakes, you have numerous advantages when you manage to eliminate your anti-conscience through consciousness. Your first advantage is the fact that you acquire sound mental health forever because you eliminate the roots of absurdity and evilness from your brain and psyche. You begin a new life, without the poisonous influence of your primitive conscience. When you are influenced or controlled by your anti-conscience, this means that you are controlled by the animal, violent, immoral, cruel, indifferent, and absurd side of your brain. This absurd side is much bigger than your tiny human conscience. Don't think that this is a matter of left and right brain. The anti-conscience occupies the biggest part of your brain, while your human conscience is only a spot. The analogy is disappointing and scary. You may believe you are a reasonable person, but if you will analyze the meaning of your dreams, you will discover all your mistakes. You will surely verify that you are not as intelligent and sensitive as you should be in order to be considered a really balanced person. You are very far from perfection. You know that you are far from perfection, but you don't think that this is something really important because human beings are imperfect creatures. Yes, we are imperfect, but we have to attain spiritual perfection so that we may be able to live happily. If we keep being violent like our anti-conscience, we cannot learn how to find peace and happiness. Visit my blog, http://1min5.blogspot.com/. And if you are looking for brain power solution, I recommend you click the link in the description. Thank you for watching and see you next time.